Bye. I love you. Bye. Goodbye. I
to another video. So today we're going to be making some carne con chile, and we're going to be putting some potatoes in there. So we're going to start off with rinsing our potatoes. These potatoes, the boys picked them at a farm, so these are fresh potatoes, and we're going to wash them. You see they're really dirty. So make sure you clean your sink first, and then we're just going to wash our potatoes and cut them up so we can put them to boil. We're going to do those first because they do take the longest to cook. So depending on how much food you're going to make is how many potatoes you want to cut up. If you don't have that much meat, you can use the potatoes to kind of make a bigger dish or make your dish last you longer. So let's see. I'm going to add one more big potato. I think that should be good. So we're going to cut them up. So like I said, you want to make sure that you wash these really well. I'm going to use cold water. Nice and clean. So scrubbing them, since they're fresh, most of the outer peel just comes right off. But I don't mind the outer peel, especially on these Yukon Golds. So I didn't really scrub to take it all off. So now we have, alright, so now we have our potatoes all nice and clean and washed. Now we're going to cut them to the size that we want them to be. Depends on you if you want them big pieces or if you want smaller pieces. And I'm going to put them in a pot that I have here with water so that we can boil them. Add a good amount because you know potatoes need salt. And now we're going to put them to boil. Okay, and I'm going to set it on high so that we can boil these sooner than later. Well, something you know, if you add the lid on there, it boils a lot faster. So while our potatoes are cooking, we're going to go ahead and start our white rice. Now I'm going to put some butter in our pan that I just turned it on, so it's not even hot yet, but we're going to add our butter. I'm gonna add about that much. We're gonna make a white rice with some corn. Next, I'm actually going to add the corn, just because I want it to get that butter flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this canned corn. And I poured out the water that came in there. We're gonna add our corn. Okay. Let's move this around a little bit. Okay, and now we're gonna add, I'm gonna do 1 cup of rice. Alright, so we're gonna add 1 cup of rice in here. I'm gonna move it around. Alright, and now we're gonna add our 2 cups of water. Instead of salt, I'm going to add some chicken bouillon, but you can add salt if you want. And then we're just going to cover it up and let it boil. And that's our white rice. This is our salsa, so we're going to add about that much onion. The pan is off, but the burner was on because this is where I had the onions, so you're gonna hear a little sizzle, but that's okay. So we're gonna add that much onion. We're gonna add 2 tomatoes. Rinse. And then you're gonna add some tomatillos. Alright, so I did about 7. Now we're going to add about 6 jalapenos. I'm adding 6 of these because I know they're not spicy. The organic ones are the ones that are usually spicy, but these aren't. So we're going to do 6 of these. If you want it spicy, you can also add some serranos or an habanero. It's up to you. Let me cut these tails off. Add a garlic in here as well. There. Now we're gonna turn it on just so that they can roast a little bit, and then add some water to it. Check on our potatoes. You don't want them fully cooked because we're gonna finish cooking them with the meat and the sauce. So if you cook them all the way here before you put them in there, then they're just going to be too soft and they're going to be falling apart on you. They can use a little bit longer. Kind of want to, when you take them out, you kind of want them al dente. But yeah, these could use another little bit. So cover them back up. You want to get a nice little, you want some color on them. So this is the color that you want to see on your garlic, and Roasted garlic smells so good. So I'm actually going to pop this in the blender right now because you don't want to burn it because then it gets bitter. I'm going to pop that in there now.
Mom?
Yes, son?
I'm just going to pause.
To pause?
To pause that.
Turn it on. Wait for it to turn on. Alright, so we're getting pretty good color. Now I'm going to move everything up so we can get color on our tomatoes. Once the tomatoes have color, we'll add water. Alright, so our tomatoes looking pretty good, so we're going to add water to this now and bring it to a boil. Efforts of saving dishes and all that mess, I'm actually going to make the meat and the whole dish in this pan. So the potatoes are done, so I took them out. We're going to drain this water and we're going to put our meat to cook now because our chile starting to boil, so everything's coming together. Our rice is actually done, so let's go ahead and pour this water out so that we can put our meat. Leave the heat off on here, but it's still hot, the burner's still hot, and I'm going to add some butter so that the butter can start to melt before we add our meat. And just let that sit, let it melt on its own while you start to clean your meat that I got. This one right here. And we're going to rinse it with some cold water. You see this back here? We're going to clean all of this off because you don't want to eat that. So rinse it off. Slices that you want, whatever size you want. I'm just going to give it some rough cuts, maybe about this size. It's going to shrink down a bit, so about that size should be good for me. I'm just going to do that to the rest of the meat. And then we're going to add it into our pan. When you're getting ready to add it into your pan, make sure it's nice and hot so that it doesn't just sit and boil. This is how much meat we got out of that packet. Now we're going to season it. I have already turned on the heat on the pan on high so that it gets nice and hot. Let's get our seasoning. Let's see. You hear that sizzle? Okay, so we're just going to add some of this seasoning to our meat. Alright. That's what you want to hear when you add your meat in. while that cooks, we're going to blend our chile. Alright, so here's what our chile is looking like in the blender. We're just going to add some cilantro after we blend it. We're going to blend this first with a little bit of salt. A little bit, not too much. As you can see, there's still a little bit of chunks. That's how you want it. So once your meat looks like this, where it's pretty much all cooked, just have a few little pieces that need a little bit more time, we're going to add our potatoes back in. Give it a nice quick stir, not too harsh so that you don't break your potatoes. Now I gave it a quick taste and it definitely needs some more salt, but we can add that once it's in here. Alright, so I'm actually going to just add some chicken bouillon. I'm not going to add salt just because I love the chicken bouillon taste. Okay, we're going to mix that around and then we're just going to cover it up and let it come to a nice boil. And that'll be pretty much it. Alright guys, and this is the final product.